Dr. Gay from Integrative Wellness Options, Erie's Holistic Health Clinic at 4906 Richmond Street, and in Meadville, PA at 906 Grove Street. Today I'm going to talk about the inflammatory process. And the inflammatory process is your body's way of dealing with inflammation, which is basically the cause of most of your health issues. Now, that inflammation post-pandemic has been pretty rampant. One of the main symptoms post-pandemic has been muscle and joint aches and pains. That's one of the major inflammation processes many people have experienced, whether they had COVID or whether they did not, that they've experienced, along with higher blood pressure. Some people are having issues with blood clots, issues with lethargy, difficulty in concentrating, lower immune function, difficulty in with anxiety, sleeping processes, and many other things. Diabetes, insulin resistance, heart conditions, heart disease. All these, again, are related to what they're claiming is this increase in the inflammatory process. So one of the ways we can kind of counter this is making sure that we go into intermittent fasting on a daily basis. So not eating after 7 o'clock at night and not eating till the next day between 11:30 and noon is a great way for the body to kind of detoxify, cleanse, and digest pathogenic stress. It kind of gives the body a way of clearing both emotional and physical components of inflammatory response. Insulin resistance is enhanced as far as eating the wrong foods at the wrong times, and that's what we want to prevent. And of course, inflammation stores in the fat cells. So inflammation is always the beginnings of weight gain because the fat cells are what now store the inflammation. And again, the cascading events of issues with gut lining, which is the microbiome. And again, a lot of these things that start out as inflammation go into a myriad of different other issues. So what we need to do, and what I do, is screen acupoint alarms. So I screen all the organs and glands, and then I screen for pathogenic stress. Virus, bacteria, fungus, parasites, heavy metals. And if any of those are showing up, I can guarantee you that's a good portion of your inflammatory response because your body's fighting an infection. But we can't disregard the fact, and it is a fact now, that they've proven in nanotechnology, in energy medicine, that go back thousands of years, that the mind and the stressors of relationships, finances, work, relationships with friends, and other relationships, all create inflammatory response. So the brain, which is our antenna, sends out these signals that go from the brain into the organs and glands. Now, where does it all emanate? It emanates from thoughts. We all know that those of us in the energy medicine field are well aware of how the cascade of most inflammatory responses begin in the thoughts and the emotions, toxic thoughts, toxic emotions. And people that try to think they can disregard this are fooling themselves because this stuff goes right into the organs and glands via the brain. So the brain essentially then becomes inflamed. Sends out these chaotic energy signals, which in turn create illness in the physical body. It also opens the doors to the inflammatory process, which begins a cascade of events. And we've already discussed the cascade of events from insulin resistance to heart disease to all kinds of physical issues, oxidative stress, and the insulin resistance then, of course, causes the body to store toxins in the fat cells. And of course, fat cells make you fat, and that's where you're storing a lot of this inflammation. in the fat cells. So the inflammatory response is the setup to the weight gain. So again, we have to look at all these elements. The important thing to remember is if any of these events, oxidative stress, creates free radicals, which start breaking down your organs and glands, be aware this is very dangerous stuff to deal with. So we start with the emotions. We look then at how the emotions may be affecting the physicality. And typically I get a lot of patients in here that are post-COVID that are saying they're having emotional issues they never had before. They have experienced COVID in some cases, or they have experienced post-COVID issues, inflammatory issues, which we've just covered, which are now creating a lot of emotional fears, emotional stressors, anxiety, restlessness, inability to sleep that they never had before. And then as a consequence of this, the cascading of other health issues that once those responses have been accepted by the body's immune system, it starts creating the other issues. So be mindful of these things. I typically use a homeopathic remedy to work with emotional issues post-pandemic, post-COVID, and the acupoint alarm screen to screen for any inflammatory response as a consequence of virus, bacteria, fungus, parasites, heavy metals. So stay fit and healthy. Enjoy the great sunshine that's coming towards us in the next couple weeks. And notice that we are having on May 8th at the Meadville office, Alice Kleck, who is our detox foot practitioner, and you detox into your feet. So a great way to help the inflammatory response that may already be detoxifying you. And again, remember, not eating after 7 o'clock at night and not then eating again till 11:30 or noon the next day gives the body a time to kind of cleanse and detoxify. Stay fit and healthy. Bye-bye now.